and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And we are starting off a brand new month, and you know what that means? A brand new monthly topic. So, say bye-bye to those 3-hour breakdowns of companions in there roles outside of Doctor Who. We're back to something a lot lighter, something easily discussable, something a lot more fun. And who is the master of fun? My guest for this evening, Robo Snark. How are you doing, sir?
How's it going, Yeah, that's more convincing than some of those Cybermen, I can tell you that.
Oh, yes, definitely. And we will be talking a lot about those in just a couple of minutes. But first, you know, you've been a guest long enough.
Oh,
You know
sure.
how it goes. You know the drill. The birthday section is up first, and we are going from the 1st all the way to the 7th of August.
I
And
was here for that one episode where it was at the end, and wow.
yeah, the one and only episode where that will ever be the
Unspeakable.
case.
Unspeakable.
Unspeakable. So, starting us off on the 2nd of August, we have Greg Austin, who, of course, played the character of Charlie in the Doctor Who spin off show Class. Charlie
Mm.
Smith, I should say. I forgot his last name for a second there. Charlie Smith, the sort of pseudo leader of the gang of misfits from the Class TV show, which everyone except me hated for some reason. But at least the show got a second life on Big Finish, and he's still playing the part
Oh, good.
to this day. On the 3rd of August, we have Mr. Dennis Carey. Carey. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. You can kind of tell from this picture, he was the original keeper in The Keeper of Kraken, as well as an old man in the episode Time Lash, but he was also Professor Chronotis in the infamously unproduced episode Shada. That's something pretty interesting.
Hmm.
On the same day as him, we also have Mr. John Greenwood, who, of course, was a fight arranger and fight coordinator on one of my favorite Second Doctor episodes, The Mind Robber. And also, he appeared in that episode as playing the characters of Sir Lancelot and D'Artagnan. If you want to know why those two characters are in this episode, go ahead and watch it. It's highly worth the watch. On the 4th of August, we have, again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name, Fenella
Oh,
Woolgar.
sure.
I mean, the picture pretty much says it is. She played the
I do.
character of the real life person, I should say, Agatha Christie in the episode the Unicorn and the Wasp. She's also had a number of Big Finish appearances, including the Nevermore, Ghost Walk, the Diary of River Song Series 4, the Fourth Doctor episode, the Syndicate Master Plan on Big Finish, as well as Shadow of the Sun. But of course, Agatha Christie is what most people know her from in the role of Doctor Who. Also on the 4th, we have Denai Biernat, Biernat. She's a stunt double. She was mainly a stunt double and stunt producer, stunt coordinator on a lot of episodes from the modern series. And here's something interesting. She was also the frequent stunt double for Clara Oswald. So
Your favorite.
shut up, Snark. It's a little bit weird because for those of you who don't know, um, Jenna Coleman, very famously not a very tall person, so you need a very special person to be a stunt double for someone that short. It's sort of going back into another very famously short person in Doctor Who, Elizabeth Sladen, Sarah Jane Smith, who did most of her stunts on her own because they just couldn't find a stunt double short enough to replace her.
Mm-hmm.
I, I don't know why I just went on a tangent about height for no reason, but on the
You're
5th
on
we
the
have
attack.
of all the people to do that, me. On the 5th, we have Wanda Ventham. Ventham.
Sure.
She played the character of Jean Rock in The Faceless Ones, Thea Ro- Ransom in The Image of the Fandel, and Faroon in Time and the Rani. She is also the mother of one Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of him,
No
right?
idea.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know who that is. Okay, well, never mind. We're gonna move past that because on the 5th we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Paul Casey. He's basically a creature movement operator on a lot of modern stuff. He played an Auton, played one of the trees in the End of the World season. He's played a lot of Slitheen people. He was a lot of the Weevils on Torchwood. He was the Ood. He was the Jadoon.
Mm.
He was in the Warriors of Kudlak. He was so many different characters. He was one of the robots in the Sarah Jane Adventures. He was the Shan Sheath, obviously. Like, this guy pretty much did it all. He was the Whisper Man. I mean, the list of credits he's got would shock you. And on the 5th, again, we
Hair is
have,
shocking. That's hair shocking.
yeah, great hair. Also on the 5th, we have Brian Minchin, apologize. Again, names are not my forte, but he's a script editor and producer, executive producer on a lot of stuff from the modern series, particularly in the Torchwood and Sarah Jane realm. But I mean, this guy has his name on a lot of different stuff, like well over 130 credits, all
Ooh.
when put all together. On the 7th, now we're moving into the 7th, we have Shabona Gulati. Again, names are not my forte. I apologize for that.
They're
But
really hammering you with the names this week. Oh my goodness.
yeah, whose idea was that to put all these names in the same week? But yeah, Shabona
Incredible.
Gulati, she played the character of Najia Khan, the mother of Yasmin Khan in the Jodie Whittaker era. She appeared in three episodes: Arachnids in the UK, Demons of the Punjab, and Spyfall. But I mean, she is the mother of a fan favorite companion, so you know she's got to be on the list as well. And finally, thankfully, it's a very easy to pronounce name.
We'll
But
see.
yeah, we'll see. On the 7th, we're wrapping up our list. We have hello Newman. The infamous Wayne Knight, who appears in 3 episodes of the final season of Torchwood, also known as the season we do not talk about.
Oh.
But I mean, he's Wayne Knight. Obviously, he's Newman on Seinfeld. He was Dennis Nedry in the Jurassic Park. He was the Elephant Tantor in Tarzan. He was in Toy Story 2. He's done a lot of our favorite stuff, so he's gotta be on the list. And how fortuitous that he was on the last entry of our list. So the wonderful list of people we had today. Thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. So you know what? You know something else that the Doctor Who universe probably wouldn't be quite the same without
Who's that? Oh, those.
Cybermen.
Right.
Cybermen, one of definitely the Doctor's greatest enemies and one of the most frequent villains in the show. I mean, to me, it's like the holy trinity in Doctor Who of
Hmm.
the Daleks, Cybermen, and the Master. Like three things that the show could not do without. And we're going to talk about them. So, first of all, we're starting off with the classic series. What Cybermen stories have you watched so far?
Well, I couldn't watch the 10th Planet. I wanted to, and I wanted.
Boo, BBC. Boo,
Yeah,
BBC.
I want to talk about it, though. I've tried to look up as much as I could about it. Um, there's some pretty interesting stuff about that. I didn't get to see Moonbase either, but I
Mm.
got to see what is it, the which is the vault, was it the vault, the tomb of the Cybermen. I got to see the wheel. Is it the wheel in space? I got to see the invasion,
Mm.
and I got to see that one with the fifth Doctor. Well, I can't remember his name.
Earthshock.
Urshock. Yeah, I got to see that one. Shocking. The voice is shocking. Yes. No, we'll talk about. We'll
As
talk about.
shocking as Paul Casey's hair?
No, okay, come on. Let's not get crazy. Come on.
Let's not get carried away.
Mm-mm.
So, of course, as you already mentioned, we got to talk about their first appearance in Doctor Who, an episode that the BBC very stupidly threw out, the 10th planet. I mean, just look at that.
Yeah.
That's some S tier Cyberman design right there. Am I right?
Balaclava, spotlight, accordion. It's got it all.
Yeah. Like this is the classic. This is a key Cyberman appearance from the 60s, and I swear I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I love this design.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love the 10th planet Cybermen. I wish more Cybermen were like this, with
Hmm.
the stupid ski mask and the weird voice and the effect of the just they open their mouth and then just voice comes out of nowhere, like off camera,
Yeah.
and their voice is like, "We are the Cybermen. We came to this planet from the planet
I love
Bondi."
I love that voice. I thought it was great. They change. Yeah, we'll go over how they changed and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
the voice.
I like that one the best.
Why didn't they keep the voice like that? This voice is amazing.
Yeah,
I love it. We used to be like you until we discovered that our bodies were holding us back and we needed technology to survive.
yeah,
I mean,
it's fun.
these. Go ahead.
I just said it's fun. It's a fun voice. They were fun looking characters and stuff like that, and it separated them from Daleks. They weren't like the
Definitely.
same. Yeah, it- but they got like it's like why would they just wanted to tinker. It's always like they always want to tinker with the Cybermen. All at least through the classic episode, the classic series, they change every single time you see them.
Yeah,
Just to get
unlike the Daleks,
right. They just get the Daleks the same.
because the Daleks are just so perfect design wise. There's no reason to mess with them. And we all remember what happened the last time they tried to redesign the Dalek. Well, not the last time, but the last one time before that. That time in the 11th Doctor's era when they tried to redesign the Daleks. So let's not go there again. But yeah, these Cybermen are just so incredibly iconic that they brought them into the modern series as well with Capaldi's penultimate story. Like literally the same, obviously an updated design because of they had more different technologies to design monsters in the modern series, but for all intents and purposes, these are the same design for the Cybermen. Even scenes from this episode were shown in Capaldi's last episode, Twice Upon a Time.
Right.
And speaking of which, there's a reason why I'm bringing that up because this episode also has the singular honor of being William Hartnell's last episode. And obviously, he
Hmm.
did also appear in The Three Doctors, but this was officially his last adventure as the Doctor, at least until Stephen Moffat decided to change things by adding Twice Upon a Time on board. But I mean, that technically wasn't William Hartnell in it, so there. But
Right.
yeah, so can we just take a minute to appreciate the design? I think I had a picture of a full body standing image of these Cybermen, but I can't find it now for some reason. But
Rats.
but this yeah, for some reason there are certain formats of images that StreamYard just refuses to work with. So what do you say?
Damn
I'll look.
you, StreamYards.
Yeah. So what do you say? I'll try to look for it again,
Sure.
and you
And
you,
like
you tell me what you think about it in the meantime.
this is such a yeah. You know how I love the simple stuff. How my favorite monsters are like basically just rubber mats that are being tugged on with a string to make it look like motion and stuff. I love these kind of things. It's just simple. Where this is either a balaclava or just a nylon put over a guy's head, just with the holes cut out for stuff. A spotlight on his head connected by tubing, and that definitely just looks like an accordion, for goodness sake, like but with like an air filter on the front. So yeah, this is the kind of robot and monster that I fully get behind. It's totally 1960s. Uh,
There
I
we go.
think
Found it.
yeah, yeah, it's like a fan underneath it. Like yeah,
No, it's a sort of light thing. I think
another light. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they took it off of a car. This looks like a car light, and it lights up, and then just whoever they aimed it at just burns.
that's it. Yeah, well, that's another thing. They have powers that change all the time as well. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, uh, yeah. Now, have you seen the 10th planet? Like, was it
Oh yeah,
available for
yeah.
you to see? Because
I've seen it a bunch of
I,
times.
yeah, I've been trying to find it, and they're saying like most of the stuff that I'd find or whatever, it had to be like recorded. There was somebody in Australia recorded it off the television just with a camcorder, and they had to steal a bunch of the images from that. And the only 16 millimeter footage that was available was because they showed a clip from Blue Peter in the 70s in like 1973. That's the only reason you can get it. And it's William Hartnell's Regenerations. That's the only 16 millimeter thing they said they had.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason they threw a lot of the episodes out was because they didn't feel like some of these episodes had value anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the debut of the Cybermen on one
Mhm.
hand, and it's William Hartnell's final story on the other. How could they possibly have thrown this away? And the thing is, most of the episode is intact. Like the first three parts of the serial are they all exist. It's just the last one that they threw out, minus that scene, the regeneration scene, and like one or two clips with William Hartnell foreshadowing his incoming regeneration.
Right.
And throughout the story, the William Hartnell does collapse a bunch of times as part of the script, obviously, to sort of to signify that his whole body, as he says, is wearing a bit thin, and his regeneration is very imminent. Which I suppose that's what happens when a Time Lord ages beyond what the current incarnation can afford. But yeah, so in this episode, we also get introduced to Mondas, the home
Yep.
planet of the Cybermen, which is basically just an inverted planet Earth
Yeah.
in a way. But yeah, so that's where the Cybermen came from. They just cannibalized themselves. They realized that they needed technology to survive until eventually technology took over them, and they basically replaced almost every single part of their bodies with machines and mechanics, and turned the entire planet into a giant uh, ship, essentially, that roams the galaxy independently of itself. That's why the planet was never discovered until the mid 1980s, which is where this episode takes place in. And they came back to our solar system to try and siphon off power from the Earth. And of course, they failed to do so. The planet gets overloaded. The planet gets hold on. The planet eventually then perishes, and the Cybermen just die themselves as a result of their planet being destroyed. So, in a way, was one of those episodes where the the Doctor being there didn't really make much of a difference. Like the
No.
planet was gonna get destroyed eventually, but the planet, the Doctor and companions being there really did save the humans in many ways. Where they try to fight back, and the Doctor made sure that they didn't destroy themselves in their mission to destroy the Cybermen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, obviously along the way, the Doctor and sorry, and Polly get taken away to the Cyberman ship, where the Doctor starts to lose it, and eventually, once the Cybermen are defeated, Ben releases them. Ben Jackson, that is, not this Ben, obviously,
Mm.
but yeah, Ben Jackson, the companion, releases them both, and the Doctor runs into his TARDIS to regenerate before meeting his self incarnation, and that storyline.
Sure.
But yeah, as someone who has not seen it, but if you can, I highly encourage you to look for it on Daily Motion, particularly
Oh, right.
the first three episodes that actually do survive, because it's apart from just the gorgeousness of the design here,
Yeah.
it's a really good story, I think, and also the reveal and the introduction of the Cybermen and the cliffhanger in episode one is highly worth looking for it. But yeah, anything else you'd like to add before we move on to their Cybermen's next appearance?
No, let's keep going. And yeah, you could also say that's also the second Doctor's debut appearance, sorta. You get to see kind of his face in there.
Sort
So
of.
there you
Yeah.
go. All that history in one episode, and they junked it because
This
they're
episode is
smart.
a treasure trove of stuff, and the BBC just threw it in the trash.
Unbelievable.
But as you alluded to, the second Doctor had four Cybermen stories on
Which
television. Television wise, more than any other Doctor. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, would you like you consider really the master is more of a I consider him a third Doctor opponent that continues on. I would you consider Cybermen being mostly the second Doctor's main enemy? Well, besides the Daleks always appear, but or would
Well, yeah,
always
yeah. I mean, if anything, I'd say that a signature villain of the second Doctor would be the Yetis and the Great Intelligence by extension. But I mean, when the Cybermen were introduced here, they were mostly brought on as like the generic one-off villains that the Doctor Who is famous for.
yep.
But apparently, someone really liked the concept and the design that they kept bringing them back, which essentially made them the second Doctor's signature villains.
Hmm.
Case in point, there were, like I said, there were four Cybermen television stories in the second Doctor's era alone. So that's more than any other Doctor. So you gotta assume that they at least considered the Cybermen to be the second Doctor's signature villain.
Hmm.
Which, of course, brings us to the moon base. And look at that drastic redesign
Yeah.
for the Cybermen. First of all, I love the pose of the head Cyberman there.
It's like he's
It's like
introducing them. It's like and my band, my fantastic band. Yeah.
the the Cyberman. Please
Hmm.
welcome the Cyberman.
That's right.
Yeah, of course, Cybermen don't need to breathe oxygen, so that's why they can just walk on the
Sure.
surface of the moon,
Yep.
no problem. And you know what? Here's an interesting bit, something that you'll notice a lot with Cybermen stories as opposed to Dalek stories is a lot of the times, not all the times, but a lot of the times, Dalek stories have a tendency to give themselves away.
Hmm.
Like, you know how? Because the episode is literally titled The
Yeah.
Something of the Daleks.
Right.
Like the Dalek invasion of Earth, the Daleks master plan, evolution of the Daleks. I think the biggest offender of that was the evil of the Daleks, where you literally have Daleks in the name, and the Daleks are pretty much of a no-show for the first part of the serial, and then at the very end, the last 2 minutes of the episode, first episode, I should say, a Dalek randomly shows up and there's dramatic music and it's like, oh no, a Dalek, and that's how the episode ends. I'm like, it's literally in the title. Like the episode is called "The Evil of the Daleks." Where's the surprise in that? Why is it such a surprise? So going back into the moon base, obviously in the 10th planet that you don't even know what the Cybermen are at that point. So
Right.
when a Cyberman shows up at the very end of episode 1, it is a surprise because you don't know what it is, and then later you learn that the Cybermen are a thing. In the moon base, again, same thing that they tried to do with the Eagle of the Daleks, but didn't do quite as well. It's like there's a mystery, you don't know what the mystery is, and like at the very end of episode 1, maybe even 2, I can't remember, just a Cyberman shows up and tries to kidnap Jamie. And then that is how you do a good cliffhanger, I think.
Yeah.
That is how a cliffhanger works. When a companion is sick or wounded, and a Cyberman just shows up out of nowhere and tries to kidnap him. So that's my rant on how that works. And of course, a lot of the Cyberman stories, especially in the old series, the classic series, a lot of them just don't have the word Cybermen in the name, so they don't give themselves away in
Hmm.
a way. So you think, oh, there's a base on the moon and there's a sort of mystery happening in there, and then you learn that Oh no, it's a Cyberman story after all. So yeah, you're surprised.
Yeah.
That's how a cliffhanger works. And you said you haven't seen this one as well, right?
No, I didn't get to see this one.
Yeah,
Stupid
it's another one of those missing
penguin
episodes.
ticker.
I think like two episodes are missing, but because it's not a completed episode, they didn't
But
have it. But
that being said, in the next couple serials that I saw, there are episodes missing, but they've either pieced together all the audio and then used pictures just to tell the story as it goes along, or it's the first time I've seen the cartooned versions. There's cartoon episodes coming up too, but not. I think the next one is Wheel in Time After Moonbase. Is that right?
yeah,
Yeah, that one is a lot of. There, I think there's a couple episodes that remain intact. The rest are just pictures.
yeah, and of course we talked about the redesign for these Cybermen. I'm just the face no longer has this ski mask
There's no
aesthetic.
personality. There's no personality to that face.
Yeah, I mean, there's a personality here. You
Oh
can
sure.
see the expressions of the actor. Here it's just uh, mm, I don't even know if it's metal or if it's plastic, but it's just a metal mask with
Yeah.
dead eyes and a mouth that sort of there's a flap inside the mouth that opens whenever they need the appearance that the Cybermen are talking, and
Right.
these glass tubes replacing these long elongated handles.
Smaller light.
Yeah, and just the weird hat looking thing,
Mm-hmm.
and all of it just covered in this aluminum jumpsuit with golf balls. Uh,
Yeah, those almost look like what do you call 'em? Wiffle balls.
yeah, and yeah, I suppose they are, and of course a lot of the suit, both in the real world and in the episode itself, are is plastic, and it's one of my favorite examples of a companion where uh, Ben and Polly, especially Polly in the story, they just make up a chemical concoction that melts the plastic right off because they realize that a big chunk of the Cyberman's body is plastic, so they just melt it. And again, I encourage you to watch this because,
Mm-hmm.
in a weird way, it's a great representation of the way the 1960s viewed women to a certain extent,
Ooh.
but it's used as a good thing because Polly is by nature, as her she was introduced, she was a secretary when she was introduced, and she always plays the role of being the one that makes coffee for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this story, that actually becomes a big plot point because they find out that the way that the disease that sort of oops, sorry, wrong picture, the disease that sort of gets all the crewmen in the moon base, how it spreads is through the sugar in the coffee, because not everyone drinks sugar. So the Siren basically just infected the coffee with sugar, and because she made coffee for everyone, that's how the doctor finds out how the disease is distributed. It's a really fun usage of that,
It
and
gave them all diabetes.
yeah, give them all the cyber beaties, cyber beaties.
Okay. Gee whiz, people's lives were at stake. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, do you want to move on to the next one
Yes.
before I click
Also,
on
I
this?
wanted just to say that the women's place in Doctor Who gets revisited a couple of other times in the Cyberman adventures in the at least in the classic series. I thought that was very interesting as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's
It
flashing?
took a while. It took a while for people to progress to the point that they are today. But
Mm,
now we're on to. Please tell me you've at least seen the Tomb of the Cybermen.
of course.
Oh yes, yes, thank you. So, what? First of all, what did you think about it?
I thought it was really fun. Um, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember if this one had some of the cartoon
No,
episodes
it
or
did
not.
not.
No, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I like the idea of the archaeological team. Of course, has to have a couple of baddies in there. But yeah, it was. I think it was a lot of fun. I thought this is a great few episodes for Jamie. I love seeing Jamie down there.
Me too. And it's like a Indiana Jones slash Tomb Raider adventure in space.
Yeah.
And going off of what I said earlier about how some of these Cybermen stories hide the fact that there are Cybermen in the story by not putting the word Cybermen in the store in the name of the title. This episode basically tells you that there are Cybermen in the story by naming the episode "The Tomb of the Cybermen," but they don't they don't waste any time. They let you know even before the doctor shows up. They let you know that there's a Cyberman tomb on this planet, Telos, and this archaeological team is trying to break into the Cyberman tomb. So right off the bat, you know from reading the title, yep, there's Cybermen here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they let you know. What are you doing?
Trying to mute out my dog that's going absolutely nuts upstairs. But yes,
Maybe he likes Cybermen too. He wants to join in on the conversation.
yeah, he just wants to be relieved from all other emotions except for power and hate. I guess he really likes those ones.
Maybe. But yeah, the episode just lets you know right off the bat, yeah, this is another Cyberman episode. And boom, and just drops you right into it with all the Cyberman action. And again, it takes a while for a Cyberman to show up, but
Hmm.
you're already immersed in this idea that this is a Cyberman story without showing the Cyberman. It's a brilliant example of waiting until they drop the ball on you that the Cybermen are in the story, but you already know that they are going to show up, and it's not a lazy, cheap attempt at a cliffhanger. And I love how the
Yeah.
cliffhanger works of the guy being shot by a still Cyberman, which of course was revealed later to be a trap. I love how every section of this episode is just the more they go into the Cyberman tomb or the Cyberman city, the more dangerous it becomes. And I love that there's like a secondary villain there because there's only so much you can do with Cyberman, so you got to have like the human element in there as well. This
I
episode's a
was
masterpiece, in my opinion. I love it.
I was gonna say that, like, as much as it's called Tomb of the Cybermen, I would say that the Cybermen are really just a plot point in this, and that really the two villains are among the archaeologists or whatever that went down there.
Yeah,
I think the Cybermen are used sparingly in this serial, and I think that works. That's when the Cybermen work best. Is when
yeah,
you just kind of add them in little bits, so they don't have to be all over the place. Because as we get further on, like that last one we're going to talk about, yikes! But yeah, yeah, I think of the ones I watched, this is probably my favorite serial of the Cybermen. I think it is.
me too. Yeah, I think it's definitely up there as one of the best Cyberman stories, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we will be talking about a similar one in just a bit. But yeah, the I love one of the cliffhangers of like no dialogue, just ominous music as you see the Cybermen breaking out of
The
the
cellophane.
the plastic bags.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's called Tomb of the Cybermen, but it's more
Yeah.
of a hibernation pod for the
Yeah.
Cybermen.
Looks like
Uh,
the leftovers. The leftovers of the Cybermen.
Yeah, like after the Cyber Wars, which could be a topic in and of itself, but after the Cyber Wars, they just retreated to this planet Telos, where they waited until the rest of the Cyber Wars to be over, so they can break out and terrorize the galaxy once again.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, this is one of two potential instances that scared and terrified young Peter Davison when he was a child watching this,
Oh
to the
really?
point where he just stopped watching Doctor Who because it was so scary. Peter Davison, of course, being the fifth Doctor. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine how that turned out.
Well, he
But
gets his revenge.
on the Cybermen specifically, he
Mm-hmm.
traps one inside a wall.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, this episode also introduced two very interesting elements into the Cybermen lore besides just the idea of the Telosian Cybermen, the Cyber Controller.
Yes, so fun.
And I just love that it's making me laugh so much. What do you think about this idea of the Cyber Controller?
Oh, sure. They should have a. It would only. It's only natural that they should have some sort of leader. I think that the design for the top of his head is a bit of a head scratcher. Uh, but yeah,
Um,
da, 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 da.
but yeah, I mean, it's not just the head. I think the eyes also look slightly different.
A little
I
bit. Yeah.
couldn't find a full body image of it, but the rest of the suit also looks slightly more advanced than the other Cybermen. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is also, like I said, like you said, the introduction of a Cyberman hierarchy, which
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
And of course, another element that is introduced, the Cyber Mats. What do you think about these little guys?
You know, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Monty Python, and the Holy Grail, when they see the rabbit. It's just like, that's no ordinary rabbit. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's like, and who's he talking to? Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. What's her name? Vic.
Victoria?
Victor. Yeah, and she says, "Just leave it alone." And she says, "Okay," and then just picks it up and puts it in her purse. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the classic. The doctor says something, and the companion says okay, and says something completely different,
Yeah.
and does something completely different afterwards.
Is that supposed to be some kind of like I don't understand what they were thinking with that thing around the mouth area. Those are supposed to be some sort of teeth, or is this supposed to be some kind of felt? No
Yeah,
idea.
I think they intended it to be teeth. It ended up looking a little more looking more goofy and adorable than scary, which I think that's what
Yeah,
they intended to go. Like if you look at some of the Cybermats from the Matt Smith era, those look pretty scary
sure.
because they have like the real mouth with teeth in it. But this, I mean, the whole point of the Cybermats is that they eat like electronic components, and they're just pests essentially. They attack a base by chewing up
Robo,
all of the
the
yeah
Robo Rats.
robo rodents.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, and I love that moment where the doctor just uses electricity to fry their brains, and then he just says to Jamie, "You might as well say they had a complete metal breakdown." I just love it, uh, and Jamie just goes, "Ooh." Uh,
Okay.
so the Wheel in Space is up next.
Right.
You said you did see this one, right?
Yeah, I saw this one. I thought, yeah, I thought it may have come up before that one. I guess not.
Well, it was this Tomb of the Cybermen was the the season premiere.
Right.
Wheel in Space was the season finale.
Oh, okay.
So again, it's called the Wheel in Space. There's
Yeah.
a wheel and it's in space. The Doctor and Jamie, after Victoria just left, are in a state of disarray with each other. I mean, Jamie's a bit pissed off that the Doctor let Victoria go,
Mm-hmm.
and they arrive on this silver carrier ship. Not much goes on in the first episode until later in the episode where uh, we get to the actual space wheel, and people are about to blow that place up before realizing that, oh, there's people on it, so they bring the Doctor and Jamie there. It takes a while for the episode to really find its legs, so to
Right.
speak,
Yeah.
and then they drop on you the reveal that, oh yeah, it's another Cyberman story, and I do love, and even though I think it was a little too early for another Cyberman story, I do love that moment of just like a Cyberman gestating inside this egg shaped sphere or
Yeah.
whatever, and then it just sort of wakes up and bursts out like a zombie bursting out of a tomb.
But
I like
because of the episodes I saw, that's when it's just a bunch of stills. It'd be a still here, a still there, a still there, but with all the audio. So it's basically almost listening to a Big Finish thing that had like just like a slide project or whatever, right? So I saw like the glowing balls or whatever head towards the ship, and then it would say underneath or whatever, and the ships enter through the thing or whatever. So it would give exposition, like written exposition, seeing what's happening elsewhere, what's going on. But yeah, I never got to see them come through and stuff like that.
No.
So yeah, so that was a little disappointing. But a couple of these episodes actually played like regular episodes. But yeah, stuff like this, it would just be picture.
Yeah. The still images of just. I mean, you,
How yeah, do the if you just saw pictures of these guys, would that look menacing to you? Probably not.
not as much,
Probably not.
but
And these guys, this is when their voices were their most. It sounded like when they had like if someone has had a tracheotomy or something like that, and you get one of those
yeah,
voice boxes.
yeah. You will remain still.
Yeah,
You belong to
or
us.
or they're talking into a fan or something like that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah,
Quick question though: Do you know? Uh, First of all, it's another drastic redesign. Well, not too drastic, but it's
yeah,
another redesign from
yeah.
the Tomb of the Cybermen and Moonbase era Cybermen
Looks like
to the Wheel in
they,
Space.
they get the mouth better. I think they get the eyes better.
Yeah. Quick question: Do you know why they added all those holes in the eyes and the mouth?
Maybe so they could breathe.
It's because people kept suffocating and fainting for being too long in these helmets.
Yeah, that only makes sense, doesn't it? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Oh,
yeah.
the
So they just
1960s. You could put
say,
somebody on the moon, but you couldn't think about putting breathing holes in masks. That's
yeah.
unbelievable.
Well. Remember, all these episodes take place before were filmed before the moon landing.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, but so yeah, they added these holes for some extra air circulation. But I think the suit fits the body a little bit better. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
it looks good, but it looks
The wiffle
slightly more.
balls are gone too. The wiffle balls
Yeah,
are gone.
yeah. It looks more fitting than this.
Yeah,
But
that's
I think
my
hold
favorite
on,
disco group.
the disco set. I think in this picture you can kind of see they replaced the balls with so, something much more
Yeah,
practical.
yeah. It looks more mechanical, doesn't
Yeah, it
it?
looks more mechanical, and remember these are the joints of the body, so they need to
Yeah,
put something there.
yeah.
And then of course the middle body is just has mechanical bits on it, so you gotta portray these things in a way that you got to see these outside the body.
Yep. Yeah, I like. I think the Cybermen look good there. I think this is a real good serial for the Cybermen. I think they look good. I think their voices sound the most metallic. I think it's
Hmm.
ridiculous when you go into Earthshock, but yeah, I enjoyed this entire serial for the Cybermen, so I have no complaints about it.
Well, my one complaint about it comes from the fact that I already saw the 10th planet, and this episode really does follow a similar model where, again, the Cyberman introduced at the end of something. You don't know it's a Cyberman story until very late, and
Right.
like it starts off with like two, three, four Cybermen running around. The Doctor finds a way to defeat them. They barely defeat these handful of Cybermen, and then it's like, oh, there's hundreds more coming, and then cliffhanger. That's how one of the episode ends. And I think it's also very similar to the Moon Base as well. So there's like it's very formulaic. Some of these Cyberman stories, like you start off with a couple that are very tricky and hard to defeat. You defeat them, and then they drop on you that oh, there's hundreds more coming. So you had this much hard time stopping just a couple of them. How are you going to fare against 100? So it's a bit repetitive, but that's really kind of the Cybermen's whole thing. It's
Yep.
like that's like the danger. It's like if you become a Cyberman, you basically every day feels like the same thing. There's nothing new. That's really what they're trying to say here.
Is it the wheel in space that has the Australian guy? The blonde haired Australian guy? I think it might be. Anyways, that just one. It's another one of our continuing series 50 of accents I love to hear in space. We've covered the Cockney accents throughout Big Finish episodes, but yeah, I love hearing Australian accents in the classic series. Maybe not
I
as
don't
much maybe not as much Tegan, but there's like that Australian guy with the blonde hair. It was so funny.
I don't I don't remember an Australian guy
I'm trying to
in the
remember if it's this one or if it's yeah, it's got to be this one because it's not the invasion,
no, but there were multiple accents in the moon base.
right? But I didn't see it.
And the wheel in space. There, I don't remember a blonde Australian guy. There was a blonde Russian woman, I think.
No, her name is Tanya,
Yeah,
and I think the guy that keeps hitting on her all the time, I believe, was the blonde Australian guy. But I'm
mm,
I'm pretty sure it's not Invasion I'm thinking of because there is no hitting on anybody in Invasion.
yeah. There's a different blonde in the invasion. Speaking of which,
Mhm.
the invasion. First of all, the episode again. The episode is called the invasion. You
Yeah,
know, something is invading. You don't know what is invading
right,
until again, just like the wheel in space. One of the episode ends. I think Jamie is hiding out in a sort of coffin-like thing, and something is moving.
right,
And that's a cliffhanger. The next episode, or the next episode right after that, they bring out one of those coffins and they open it, which is revealed to be a Cyberman inside
hmm
the thing. And of course,
right.
this also introduces the Cyber Planner, and it goes again to what we talked about earlier in the Tomb of the Cyberman. I mean, the main villain here is Tobias Vaughn
Yep,
in
100%.
International Electromatics.
Yeah, I think he's great.
He's great.
Hmm
Kind of does help that he looks a little bit like Netanyahu, but we're not going to get into that right now.
I never. Yeah, come to think of it, yeah,
I
yes,
mean,
that's
that's all I can think of whenever I see his face.
it. Too funny. Too
Yeah,
funny.
way too funny. But moving past the politics at this point, I think he's a really great villain. And you know
Oh
what?
yeah,
He's played by Kevin Stoney, who of course played the incredible and stereotypically racist Mavic Chen in the Daleks' Master Plan. But this time he came back and proved that he can be a great Doctor Who villain without racist yellowface. So
right.
yeah, and I love his relationship with his sidekick Pecker in the episode. I just
Yeah,
love how incredibly demeaning he could be to Pecker. It's like,
yeah.
Pecker.
He can be a bit of a dick to Pecker.
Yeah, and you know what the weird thing is? Pecker never loses his loyalty to him. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
I kept thinking that he was a Cyberman the entire time. Like, and Vaughn would talk about how his body or whatever is cybernetic, but his entire
yeah,
head or
like
whatever his brain isn't. But
the guy shoots him in the chest and nothing happens.
he
So
starts laughing.
he did have. I think he talked about it with the Cyberplanet at one point that he did have some body modifications, but he didn't go full conversion
Right.
or something
Uh,
like that.
I also do like my favorite thing about Vaughn is he has two speeds. He has this where he talks very slowly, very composed. Doctor. And then then he's just screaming at people. He's either talking like this or he's screaming. There's no in between with that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, great, great villain portrayal, and of course, I think this is the first time we're seeing Cybermen with guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved away from the
The thought thing that
yeah,
just shows up when they
from the
snaps for no other reason.
glowing chest piece with the car light in it to
Hmm
actual Cybermen. I think it's much more practical.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, look at this.
Flamethrower.
As ridiculous as these new Cybermen look like, they they made them a hell of a lot more menacing with these guns.
Yeah.
And they're fighting Unit. This is the introduction of Unit as well. I mean,
It's
like
the
every
introduce.
time.
It's the introduction of the brigadier, because before he was the
Well,
colonel. Before he was the
yeah,
colonel, he
yeah,
got promoted to brigadier in the invasion.
yep. In this episode,
Hmm
and yeah, so it's almost like every time the Cybermen show up, they introduce something new into the lore of Doctor Who. Sometimes even more so than the Daleks, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, so of course it's the head is more or less the same as the Wheel in Space variant. They just
Uh, yeah.
remove the little dot below the mouth, and
Well,
they
they
just
got those
add
Princess Leia
yeah,
coils on the side of their
yeah, and
head.
they just added those headphone coils
Yes,
on the
headphones.
side. Like they went from like simple handles to these headphone like things. But I
Right.
think the top of the head more or less stayed the same.
And the zipper is fully
Oh
fully
yeah,
shown there.
that's very
Unbelievable.
sci-fi, isn't it? Very sci-fi.
I love it. That's a great picture.
Yeah,
The
and of course
cyber suit.
yeah, it's
Unbelievable.
on. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the legs, it's more or less the same as the the Wheel in Space variant,
Yep, they have the
minus
same
the
kind of joint
yeah,
things or whatever it looks like.
and I think that the
Maybe a little
chest
different. Yeah.
I think the chest unit no longer waddles. Like it's almost like it's a part of the
It's
suit.
fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, but they went back to those ball things on the joints.
Yeah, I just saw that
That's
now. I
weird.
thought that I see the tubes and then I was like, wait a minute, they don't have those little things going or
Yeah,
whatever. But at least it doesn't look like wiffle balls.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
I
look.
think
They also look more streamlined. Like they look more identical. The other ones said it seemed like the other ones had a little bit of personality in each one, but these ones look more identical.
which is what the Cybermen are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And of
They're
course, this
starting. They're starting to get it here.
yeah, they start to realize what the Cybermen are meant to represent:
Yeah,
unity and uniformity.
yeah, and then they kind of screw it up later on. But what are you gonna
Yeah,
do?
we'll get to that, but this image right here, this moment of them running down St. Paul,
It's
was
awesome.
sort of recreated with Capaldi's first season finale
Right.
with Missy, because Stephen Moffat loves referencing the old classic series. But after that, the Cybermen basically were a no-show for like 6 seasons.
Hmm.
Like they didn't show up in the second Doctor's final season, except for a minor cameo in the War Games. But all throughout the 5 seasons of the Third Doctor, no Cybermen whatsoever. And then they showed up in the Fourth Doctor's first season finale, Revenge of the Cybermen. Did you see this one?
I didn't see this one.
It's not a very beloved story. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Are
It
you
looks like
with me?
they've gotten like some vacuum tubes or whatever in their heads
Yeah,
and stuff
it's
like
like
that. Now
one thing they kept the suit almost exactly identical. They just
Mhm.
replaced the handles and the things on the side, the joints
Yeah, yeah,
with tubes, and it looks ridiculous. I don't like it.
not great.
Yeah, a slight update to the chest unit, but other than that, yeah,
Yeah,
not very great. Not great at all. But as you can see in this picture, this also introduced the idea of the cyber
hairstyles.
leader.
Okay.
Yeah, with the black handlebars and black
Hmm.
headphones or whatever it's called, which has remained a big staple of Cybermen till this very day, as a matter of fact.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely not one of the better Cybermen designs. I'll say that.
He looks like a Lego head.
Yeah, kinda.
Hmm.
So this episode also features the cyber mats, but they look horrible, so I didn't really want to put up a picture.
Yeah.
But this episode also, again, adding new stuff to the lore. This also introduced the idea that Cybermen are basically allergic to gold
Right. Yes,
because
I didn't. Yeah, I understood. Like I started hearing that about the gold and stuff like that, but I didn't know where they came up with that. But I guess they came up with
yeah,
this one that I
it's this
skipped.
episode. Like in
No.
this episode, they were, and again, it's called Revenge of the Cybermen. Who they're taking revenge on? These creatures called Vogons. Not to be
Mm,
confused with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy Vogons.
right.
Completely different Vogons, but yeah, they basically live on an asteroid covered with gold, and they want to destroy the Cybermen want to destroy the asteroid because they want to get rid of the gold, which is their only weakness for some reason. But again, in the spirit of adding new stuff to the Doctor Who lore, the main symbol that the Vogons used was later repurposed as the symbol for Gallifrey,
Oh yeah.
which is interesting. So, like, it's almost like the show wants you to forget that this episode ever exists, but they like the symbol, so they just it's not the Vogans thing. It's the Time Lords symbol.
Right.
Hold on, I think I have a spare image of that symbol on my desktop. Let me just upload it very quickly.
I would be shocked if you didn't.
Yeah, of course I do. This
Right.
symbol right here,
Yes.
the symbol of Gallifrey, introduced in this episode as part of the Vogans culture, but was later repurposed as Time Lord stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, after this episode, another 6-year break, 6-season break for Cybermen. No Cybermen at all for the remainder of the Fourth Doctor story. Apparently, this episode was so bad that they never wanted to see the Cybermen again
Oh
until
boy.
John Nathan Turner brought them back in Earthshock. It sounds like you have a lot to say about this design, though.
Even the design is whatever. They look like crappy astronauts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the fact that they didn't do anything with the voice. Everybody has their own unique voice, and it's not robotic. Like the head Cyberman just kind of talks like this. He sounds like your English grandfather.
I
The
like to
deep
call.
voice,
I
and
like to call.
he'll always break the fourth wall. He'll say something. He'll say it's like this time we'll get the doctor, and then turn towards camera every time.
That's what I like to call these smug Cybermen.
Okay. Yeah, they are kind of smug. Look at that. Look at the
It's a
look on their face. Smug.
smugberman.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
get.
this is, I think,
And
the
you can see
biggest.
their mouse move. You can see their mouse moves inside the helmet too, which was
Yeah,
cool.
hold on. There's a close up right here. The cyber leader. Yeah, they can kind of see the lips. And by the way, do you know why they always move while they're talking?
Uh, just to try and get to be an actor at something. I'm not sure.
No, it's this stage directions because they wanted to know which Cyberman is talking at any given moment, so they knew which one to add the voice to.
Um,
So they told them, whichever one of you is talking, just move around so we'll know who that is. That's why he's always like this when he's talking.
all right.
Oh, Doctor, we meet again.
The show
My
was done
army
on a
awaits.
budget. It was done on a budget. Yeah, that was it's so strange and so personalized. My army. It's like
My army awaits, Doctor.
it doesn't make any sense. Like this just made no sense. But it had a happy ending.
Yeah, well, a happy ending?
Yeah,
Well, not to someone.
not to someone. But if not for that ending, would we be here to talk about the show today, 50? Because it turns out the reason for the Big Bang is Adric didn't get off or change the thing or whatever to go back in time.
No, I mean, he could have got off the thing, but he
Mhm.
wanted to prove he was right. That's why he
Right.
went back to the council
Mm-hmm. He was wrong. Well, he
because
never knew. He never knew.
yeah, because his pride was too big for
Yeah.
his own good.
Yep. That's why it's a deadly sin, guys. It's right up
Yeah.
there near the top two. Pride.
Now, I'm gonna be honest. I actually really like the design.
Yeah.
As goofy as it is, I think this is probably the most drastic design change of the Cybermen in the classic series. But I love the pseudo astronaut look for these Cybermen. I love the way the handlebars look. I love the different intricate looks of the face. Which, by the way, this wasn't like a mask that they put on. Everything they had to sit down and they had to screw the thing on. For the very meticulous process. That's why they needed to get all the Cybermen scenes
Right to the man's
shot.
head.
Yeah, right onto the person's head, like an actual Cyberman. So
Whiz.
that's why they had to film
Method.
all the scenes with the Cyberman in one go because of the meticulous
Bleeding
process of
out.
having to unscrew it off and put it back on again the next day. So it was like it was a nightmare to work with, but I think it looks great. And again, I think the guns look slightly better and more sci-fi-ish than the invasion variants. I like the chest piece.
I
You see
like the
chest-
laser. I like the lasers, the red and white lasers or whatever. It almost looks like what did he call them there? Dark Side's lasers or whatever from comics. But
Omega beams.
Omega beams. Yeah, how they just keep going. They're big, thick. They're wide. They're thick. They have different colors on their red and white. They just, yeah, I like that.
I don't think you watched the same episode that I did. It was like
The red and white lasers.
this.
Oh no, we got like a full. I'll when we're done the show, I'll take a screen grab and I'll send it to you.
Okay, maybe they redid the effect of the lasers
Oh,
since
maybe.
the last time I saw it, because last time I saw it they had this circly wave thing around.
Hmm. Yeah. No. Like
Uh,
when they were in the caves or whatever with the those Earth astronauts that they discovered.
Again, maybe they changed the
Yeah.
effect since the last time I saw it.
Maybe they did. They've I've heard that they've done that with a couple of things. So that the different regions get different
Hmm.
effects for some strange reason.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe.
But yeah, speaking of the guns, the Doctor does end up using one on the Cyber Leader
Yeah.
after smashing Adric's gold tipped star into his chest. So yeah, next time someone tells you that the Doctor doesn't use guns, you can call them out on their bullshit.
Yeah. He's just like Batman.
Yeah, the same principle pretty much applies to both the Doctor and Batman.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, this is of course is the episode referenced by Peter Davison in The Power of the Doctor when he's talking to Tegan in that one scene. So and of course obviously these design of Cybermen came back in the Five Doctors. I
Hmm.
think they might have updated the eyes. Hold on, let me just see, because they do look like they do look a bit dead eyed in this
Yeah.
picture. In this picture, this might be an angle thing, but they kind of look like they have some expression on them.
Maybe a little. They're maybe not as round.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
you're right. I think they might not be as round, but I think they look remarkably close to each other, actually.
Yeah, but you know what I love about the Five Doctors Cybermen?
Hmm.
They don't look identical. I
No.
mean, the Cybermen are meant to look identical, but they clearly missed the mark with these Cybermen. I like
Well, that
the
one dude is just way taller than everybody,
yeah, like
too.
how long is the guy? How long it took him to put this costume on this poor guy? And
Yeah.
in the episode, there's like this tall guy and this really short,
Yeah.
squat dude also with
Yeah.
them.
There's a dumpy looking guy there. Poor guy.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about height
He
in
needs
this
to go to the
episode.
he needs to go to the Robo Gym. The one dude.
Robo Jim, yeah.
Hmm.
And okay, so next time Cybermen showed up was in the Sixth Doctor episode, Attack of the Cybermen.
Hmm.
And you kind of see that they kept the same design. I think they might have changed the chest plate a little bit from.
I think that's pretty much the same. Maybe that one piece on the helmet, but we don't see the very top of it there, like where
Yeah,
those little dots are at the very, very top. But other than that, I think they're pretty darn close.
yeah, pretty
It must
much.
be the same. Yeah, it must be the same.
Yeah, again. I really like this design, so maybe someone at the BBC also really liked the design, so they kept it as is. Or maybe it was just cheaper to keep the Imaginarian design, which is the freelance company that made the Earthshock Cybermen.
The mouth kind of looks like Beaker from the Muppets, if you remember who Beaker is.
It does. Me, 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 me.
Yeah,
But you know what? If you look closely at the mouth, it doesn't have this window that you can see the person's mouth behind
right.
it.
They close that part
Yeah,
up, which is smart.
they made it full silver color, which I think is an improvement.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
And we also get an updated look for the Cyber Controller, which for some reason, just like where is it?
And he can move around now.
Yeah, just like the Tombless Cyber Controller, he doesn't have those uh, handlebars on the side, but
Right.
I think they missed the mark on this Cyber Controller with the large dome. Like
Yeah.
it
Well,
doesn't.
it's less phallic looking.
Yeah, like the original Cyber Controller from Tombless Cybermen. I know it doesn't look like that, but it's meant to look like it has a larger exposed brain
Yeah.
on the top, because that's
Yep.
really the most important part for the Cyberman. This only organic part in the Cyberman design is the brain, which has continued on to the modern series as well. But this place, just no. I didn't like the Cyber controller design.
No.
Here, there's also again another picture that I found but couldn't upload for some reason. Of the Doctor using a gun on the Cybermen again. This episode also features a scene of a person being half cyber converted, which pretty terrifying, I think. But
Right.
other than that, it's a pretty generic Cyberman story. I mean, they basically they tried to undo the events of the 10th Planet because 10th Planet broadcast in 1966 but takes place in 1986. I don't think they planned the show to go on for 20 plus years, but yeah, so now they caught up to an episode that actually broadcasts in the mid 80s, and well, I felt like they needed to address it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But now we're on to the last appearance of the Cybermen in the classic series with Silver Nemesis, with, of course, Seventh Doctor and Ace. This was also the Silver Anniversary episode for the series, which also, I think, was shot during uh, Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Elbridge's birthdays, which they have a
Oh,
birthday on the same day, by the way,
smart.
which is pretty cool for a Doctor and companion. But yeah, it's pretty much it kept the same design idea of the Imaginarian design. They just updated the astronaut suits. I think it looks slightly more bluish gray than.
They got rid of the sad looking face a little bit. They've made it just one kind of piece now. I don't
Yeah,
know how they got to be. Oh, they have mesh underneath where the chin is. That's how they're getting
yeah,
the
there it
air
is.
in there. Yeah,
The chest
and
piece.
the chest piece is different as well. Yeah,
Yeah, some more tubing on the sides.
that guy must
Uh,
be the leader because he has black tubing.
yeah, that's something that stayed around since Revenge of the Cybermen and still
Hmm.
continues today. Of the cyber leader having black handlebars.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this episode, the Cybermen basically tried to grab, to acquire, I should say, a Time Lord super weapon called the Nemesis. But I don't know. There's some clumsiness to it because there's also another villain, potentially from the Doctor's past,
Ooh.
who is also after the weapon, and they just threw in Cybermen on top of another villain. It's like I don't feel like the Cybermen were necessary in this episode, but they were.
Right.
So I guess this is just to sell you on the fact that it's a silver anniversary series serial, and it's called Silver Nemesis. But I still don't understand why the Cybermen had to be in this episode, but they were. So I guess
Yeah,
they wanted to give Sylvester McCoy a Cyberman episode, which
I guess so.
uh,
I suppose you're right. Again, with the, it looks like they got even cheaper with the suit. Like they kept part of they just kept knocking parts off or whatever. Maybe it's too
yeah,
hard to get around with that tubing and stuff like that on the arms and legs, but they got rid of that.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
remember, this is late '80s. The show is on its last legs. The budget
Yeah.
keeps dropping like there's no tomorrow. Maybe
Hmm.
that's why they did it. But so yeah, this is the last Cyberman story for a while. Um,
Yep.
Now it's been a while since I've seen Silver Nemesis. I'm still making my way towards it on my rewatch, but this was really the first time where they addressed, or rather, someone openly head on addressed the idea of Doctor Who. Like, who is the Doctor? What is the Doctor's real name? It's sort of a precursor to the name of the Doctor from the modern series. It's like, yeah, you've been following the Doctor for like 25 years. How much do you really know about him? Especially for Ace, because like this is where they try to introduce the idea that the Doctor was more than just a Time Lord. There was more to him than that.
Right.
But of course, they never really followed up on that because the series the show got canceled a season later. Just when they were going in a direction that they felt like was good for the character, but of course, then we got the Timeless Children episode, curiously, which also featured Cybermen. So we are going to talk about it, but that is a story for another time. So clearly the Cybermen came a long way from this
Mm,
to this.
yeah.
Any final thoughts on the Cybermen?
Uh, like I said, they're an inconsistent villain. I think every writer or every director had a different idea of what they should be, or what at least they should look like and sound like.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's always fun, and I think they when you get into the adventures in the new Who era, I think you can see them. They're a little more streamlined. They're a little more consistent. So now they get it. And of course, with budget restraints and BBC, they had to keep changing things. So it's still it's unforgivable. The voice in Urshock, the voices in Urshock, it's unforgivable. But
So, Doctor, we meet again.
oh my god, it's I almost think they're saying a new body at
Right?
last.
Ah, uh, hold on. New body at last.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So yeah. But yeah, like the when they get it right, they get it right, and I love the stuff with the second Doctor, and that invasion thing has one of my favorite Doctor Who scenes ever, when he's getting shot at and he starts jumping around, being the clown or whatever, grabbing his butt and running around. I love that scene.
Whoa!
Yeah, fantastic. It's fantastic. The Jamie stuff is great. Yeah, I will. Yeah. It just makes me want to go and rewatch all the second Doctor episodes, and I might just do that. I can't. I can't start, obviously, with the 10th planet, but I can continue on from there.
Cool. I
For
mean,
for for what they'll allow me to watch, stupid BritBox.
well, at least you can watch it, unlike
Okay.
certain people I know.
Oh my gosh, what is
But
happening?
yeah, so thank you for coming on. Can we count on you for some other Cyberman stories next week?
Sure. Yeah. Great.
Cool. Now, please tell everyone, where can the good people of the cyber web find you?
That's unbelievable, almost unforgivable. You can find me, I guess, on what is it called, X, whatever it is. It's at Snarky Yeti. At what's the new thing called Threads? I believe that's Rob. Is it Rob the Snark or Snark 1974? One of those two. I don't know. It's not like I do much on either one of them. But doing work with the guys over at LGRN. Uh, we were doing entertainment news break until entertainment news stopped, unless we want to talk about strike stuff and how sad is that stuff. So forget it. But starting 11, my English Premier League show. I guess it's a podcast as well, but show right here on the old YouTube. So starting back up, Premier League starts basically this weekend with the Community Shield. We'll be doing a preview show, and then matches start a week. I guess it'll be this coming weekend when the show airs.
Cool. And you're going to find me talking even more Doctor Who on my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek, where I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2022. And also every Monday on this show right here. And every Thursday on Fun with Flags with my good friend Soda, as well as I did a couple of other episodes, other shows with Frenchie on another channel that I forgot to ask for its name.
Oh
But
boy.
you can find me there, as well as all of these wonderful channels from the wider Benverse at large. Something to talk about, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geekdom, Movie Lovers Unite, The Midnight Cinema, A-Town Reviews, So Diggin' Wrestling, and the In the Front Row, which are currently not pictured on this thumbnail because I'm using the old one. But yeah, these are all the wonderful people you can find in the wider Benverse at large. And we will see you some other time for some more cyber stories. And until the next one, everybody, in the words of Missy herself,
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
goodbye.